Thank you again to Hunter Tools and Thompson Tools for supporting our YouTube channel. Please support the companies that are helping us keep these videos going. Hi, welcome to my shop again. I want to take this opportunity again to thank all my subscribers and my supporters for all of these million views that I just crossed that threshold. So thank you so much for all your support. I gave away 20 DVDs in a very short period of time, just a matter of a few hours, and they were all gone. So trying to show my appreciation. Want to take a minute to just remind you the new business Facebook page that I've developed. I'm doing Tuesdays tips over there every Tuesday, and hopefully we're going to have a Q&A that could be quite interesting. I've always got an opinion. If you have any questions, anything that I can help you with, just comment on that. The business Facebook page does not have a friend system. So keep in touch with that by going to this address. And if you want to follow that Facebook page, you just need to check like or make a comment on there so that it'll keep coming up on your email. It's a rainy, freezing rain kind of a day today, so we're going to do a little project, a little mortise and pestle set. Part one, we're going to separate this mortise and pestle. We're going to do the bowl part of this first, and then do the pestle in the second section. So we're going to get started on this. I really have two design considerations. One is that we have a good stable footprint here for the bowl part of the mortise. The second thing is the internal shape has to, something like that, the internal shape has to be a larger radius than the ball of the pestle. So we don't want to have a bottom that would come down here and have a corner in it, and then food and stuff could get in there if we were going to use it. In my case, this is decorative. I'm not going to use it, but if you wanted to make one that was functional, you have to keep that in mind. All right, as usual, I'm going to start between centers because I want to be in control of the axis and the orientation and the color. So while I'm between centers, I have control. And when I'm going to start between centers, I'm always going to start on the balance point, not on the geographical center point. Here I'm using a push cut with the bevel support going into the side of the tree. It's always easier to go in the side grain. Okay. And I made a little bit of a concave here so that it seats on the shoulder. There's no hump in the middle that's going to cause any vibration. And I could use a glue block at this because this is side grain, but faceplate's stronger, and I've got some waste area here. You can see there how far I am away from the pith, so I'm going to waste all this away. My vessel's going to be down here. So I've got some extra wood that I'm going to put the screws in. It's just more secure than, especially a chuck. I would never use a chuck for hollowing. So the next thing I'm going to do is to establish the top where the rim is going to be. I've got this waste wood at the top where the tree is round. Now I've established the height of the bowl part of the mortar and pestle, and so now This is going to be waste and this is going to be waste, but I've got the screws in here, so I'm going to make my shape within this area. Right, we just get rid of the waste wood here quickly, right in the side grain. Alright, so I'm going to just make a simple little OG shape here, I think. Just a small little bit of a it has to be a nice foot, a nice footprint to sit on the table, so that if I ever did want to use this, that it would have a nice big footprint. So I'm going to just make a little bead in the bottom just for a little bit of a decoration, and then just make a nice little simple shape. Now this is opposite. This is a bowl, not a hollow form, so it's opposite in my shear scraping. I'm going to shear scrape from the small diameter up to the large diameter. I'm going to go from the bottom of that cove up to the other side, from the bottom of the cove up to the larger diameter here. Right, we repositioned the camera there to see that how far my handle's down. My handle's way down, got a brand new sharp edge, and I can shear scrape that and get those torn out grain fibers nice and clean, so I don't have to sand so much. So you can see where the handle is, very delicate. Okay, now we see the little tiny angel hair shavings. Oops, I just lost them off, but we're very delicate, very deliberate. Very slow and easy pace across that surface. Alright, now on the other side of that bead I got to go the opposite direction. So I lower my handle the other way, go from the hollow of the cove up to the high spot. Right, I wanted to show how delicate those shear scraping cuts are. Look at the fine little angel hair shavings there, and I put my finger there with my fingernail pointing right at the camera, so you can see the thickness of my fingernail versus the thickness of that shaving. So those are very delicate cuts. With the handle steep way down, we can make these small cuts that can clean up that surface so we don't have to sand much. My goal on the outside of a hollow form like this is to start sanding with 320 grit sandpaper. So we have to take really fine cuts, very slow pace across the surface. This is a bowl orientation with the grain going crossways, so I could open this up like a bowl with a bowl gouge and just go from the rim down to the bottom, but because it's got such a deep shape, my bowl gouge can't get down in the bottom of that kind of... I'm going to treat this now as I would a hollow form, even though it's side grain, and we'll work this out, work the wood out of there with my boring bar instead of a bowl gouge. First we're going to drill our little drill hole to get in the center and give us an entry. It's not a depth gauge, it just gets us started in the middle there. Right, now we've got the boring bar on, and I've set up the height so that it's cutting on the center line, and I have my bevel support with the cutter facing almost straight towards the headstock, and it's going to be able to hog this off easy. But another thing that it's doing, while we can see it here before we get down into the vessel, let's look at this. Okay, I'm using Cindy Drose's little light here to try to help you see the surface left behind on that area that I just did with the bevel supported cuts is really, really clean, and that's the surface that I'm going to make in the bottom of my vessel there. So that would be the finished surface. But right now I'm going to just go in there and hog it off and do it real quickly. This is really quick and easy with the efficiency of the small Hunter carbide cutter. All right, now you can see by the shavings here that I'm slicing through the fibers and not using a scraping mode that most hollowing, most boring bars would be at this point. So I've got my reverse angle carbide cutter on here so that it's tilted to the right instead of the left. When I was hogging it out, I was using it tilted to the left so we can get into the center hole and hog it out. Now I'm going to finish up this wall by turning it with the reverse angle cutter so that I'm cutting to the right, which would be downhill to the fibers inside the bowl, and gives me bevel support. There's my bevel support. And nice clean cuts so I don't have to sand much in there. Now, like any hollow form, I'm going to use the laser to help measure the wall, keep it uniform, even though in something like this I'm almost a ½ inch thick. But we're going to set the laser about a ½ inch thick so that we can see how the thickness of the laser is way off the line now. So I've got a thicker gap. Okay. So again, while we're hollowing, the laser's a dot on top, and when we get over to the side, the laser's going to disappear. It gets elongated like that and then disappears. So I'm just about there on the inside. I'm going to make it just a little bit thinner. Okay, now I'm going to reset the laser now. Instead of having a gap, I'm going to set the laser right at the tip with no gap. If we can see where the laser is now, that's how deep I am. Alright, so I'm going to go just a little bit deeper than that. And one of the things we have to do is get right dead on the center line. And just a little bit high. There we go. Come across the bottom. I'm going to make it nice and rounded because I don't want to have a flat bottom when we're mushing up things in there. So I'm going to have it nice and rounded. Come over to the side. I can feel that corner. You see how the laser is moving on an arc. A little bit deeper. Nice curved line. Transitioning it up the side. Okay. One of the cool things about the laser, you can watch the shape develop. Oh yeah, I like that. Nice and rounded. Okay, we're in good shape. Now to prepare this to let it dry, it's too wet to sand now, so I'm going to prepare it to let it dry. I'm going to take some of this waste wood away so to let some air get underneath here. I'm not going to take it off because I need to sand the inside, but I'm going to give it some room to breathe. I'm going to get rid of this waste wood. Okay, just a push cut again into the side grain. Okay, now I'm going to take a parting tool, not right on where it's going to sit on the table, but a little bit up from it. 3/16 up from there. I'm going to make a parting line in here. Alright, what I've done there with the parting tool now is give it some airflow into the bottom so that it will allow this to dry out. if I leave that too fat and thick in there, then it's apt to crack. So I want it to dry out a little bit. Even before I finish it, I'm careful at how fast I'm going to let the wood dry out so that it doesn't crack. Okay, here's the finished product, all sanded. I apologize, I've lost some footage of me working on this last stage here where I sanded it, but after it dried out, I sanded the inside first, then I took it off of the waste wood and reversed it and finished the bottom. So how I did that is I just rounded over the waste wood that's on the faceplate that was left over. I put a pad inside the bowl and bring my tailstock up to hold it and drive it with friction. Okay, so while this is turning and finishing that bottom, all I have to do when I get done is take the little nub off in the middle and sand and finish that last little ½ inch in the bottom. But that gives me accessibility to the entire bottom that way, except for the little nub. Here you go, this what it looks like. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed, if you're a new viewer. Watch for part 2. This is when I'll do the pestle, the spindle work. And thanks for watching, and don't forget to support our sponsors. See you next time.